I thought I was living a Cinderella story when the billionaire's son returned from New York and chose me, a lowly housemaid. But while he was whispering sweet nothings in my ear, his best friend was watching from the shadows with a heart full of unspoken pain. My name is Chika. And this is the story of how I learned that sometimes, the man who shouts his love from the rooftops is not the one whose heart beats only for you.
I'm on a mission to show that our stories carry weight. My mother doubted I'd reach 500 subscribers, but your support for African Storytime Tales proves that African folktale stories have a place in everyone's hearts. Subscribe and help me keep these beautiful tales alive. Back to the video.
It all began on a Tuesday morning in September, when the entire Okonkwo household was thrown into a frenzy. Oga's only son was returning from New York after 5 years. 5 whole years of living the American dream, as they say. The madam had been preparing for weeks, ordering new curtains, new furniture, demanding that every corner of the mansion shine like the face of a new bride. And me. I was on my hands and knees, scrubbing floors until my fingers bled, making sure everything was perfect for the prince's return. I had been working in the Okonkwo mansion for 3 years. 3 years of waking up at 4 in the morning to prepare breakfast for a family that barely noticed I existed. 3 years of eating leftovers in the boys' quarters, of sending money back to my mother in the village, of dreaming that one day my life would change. But I never imagined it would change like this. When Obi stepped out of that black Range Rover, I swear the sun itself seemed to pause in the sky. He was tall, with skin the color of fresh palm oil, wearing clothes that probably cost more than I would earn in 10 years. His shoes alone could have fed my entire village for a month. He had this swagger, this confidence that came from living in a place where the lights never go out and the roads have no potholes. New York had polished him into something that didn't quite belong in Nigeria anymore, but somehow that made him even more magnetic. His mother rushed to embrace him, tears streaming down her powdered face. His father stood by, chest puffed with pride, already boasting to the gathered relatives about his son, the graduate from Columbia University. And there I was, standing by the door with the other house help, invisible as always, just another piece of furniture in their grand story. But then Obi looked at me. Not through me, like his parents did. Not past me, like the other relatives who had come to welcome him. He looked directly at me, and he smiled. It was a small smile, barely there, but it set something on fire in my chest that I had never felt before. Later that evening, as I was clearing the dinner table, he spoke to me for the first time. His voice was different from the other Nigerian men I knew. It had this smooth American accent that made even simple words sound like music. "What's your name?" he asked, leaning back in his chair while his parents were busy entertaining guests in the living room. "Chika, sir," I replied, keeping my eyes down as I had been trained to do. "Chika," he repeated, as if tasting my name on his tongue. "That's a beautiful name. It means God is supreme, doesn't it?" I was surprised he knew. Most returnees forgot their Igbo the moment they landed in America. "Yes, sir." "Don't call me sir," he said, laughing. "I'm Obi. Just Obi. Just Obi." As if there was anything just about the son of a billionaire who had just returned from New York City. Over the next few days, I noticed he was always finding reasons to be where I was. If I was in the kitchen, he would come looking for a glass of water. If I was cleaning the living room, he would suddenly need to watch television. His mother thought it was charming, her son being so relaxed and at home. She had no idea what was really happening. And then there was Emeka. Emeka was Obi's childhood friend, the one person who had remained close to the family even after Obi left for America. He was the son of Oga's driver, but unlike me, he had managed to elevate himself. He worked in Oga's company now, in a junior position, but it was something. He was tall and quiet, with these intense eyes that seemed to see everything. Where Obi was all flash and charm, Emeka was solid and steady, like the Iroko tree that stands firm even when the storm comes. Emeka was always around the house, always helping with something, always there when the family needed anything. And I noticed, even then, that whenever Obi was talking to me, Emeka would be somewhere nearby, watching with an expression I couldn't quite read. 2 weeks after Obi's return, everything changed. It was a Saturday evening. The madam and Oga had gone for an Owambi, one of those society parties that last until dawn. The other house help had gone to their quarters to rest. I was in the kitchen, finishing up the last of the dishes, when Obi walked in. "Still working?" he asked, hopping onto the kitchen counter like he owned the place. Which, technically, he did. "Almost done, sir." "I mean, Obi." He smiled at my correction. "You work too hard, Chika. When do you rest?" I shrugged. "Rest is for the wealthy, Obi. People like me, we work." "People like you," he repeated, and there was something in his voice that made me look up. "What if I told you that you don't have to be people like you anymore?" My heart started beating faster. "I don't understand." He jumped down from the counter and moved closer to me. Too close. I could smell his cologne, something expensive and foreign that made my head spin. "I've been watching you, Chika. You're not like the other girls here. You're different. Special." I had heard enough stories from girls in the market to know what usually came next. The ogre's son notices the housemaid. The ogre's son makes promises. The ogre's son takes what he wants and disappears. I should have run. I should have remembered all those warnings. But when he cupped my face in his hands and looked at me like I was the only woman in the world, all those warnings evaporated like morning mist. "I want to take care of you," he whispered. "I want to change your life. Would you let me do that?" What would you have done? If you had spent your whole life being invisible, being nothing, and suddenly someone who had everything looked at you like you were treasure, what would you have said? I said yes. And that was the beginning of my fall. For 3 months, I lived in a dream. Obi would sneak me out of the house in the evenings, taking me to places I had only seen in movies. We went to restaurants where the menu had no prices and the waiter spoke to you in English so proper it sounded like music. We drove through the city in his car, music blasting, him telling me stories about New York, about Times Square and Central Park and Brooklyn, places that sounded like fairy tales to someone who had never left Lagos. He bought me things. A new phone, clothes that actually fit, shoes that didn't hurt my feet. He took me to a salon where they didn't just braid my hair but treated it like it was precious. I looked in the mirror after that first salon visit and barely recognized myself. "See," Obi said, standing behind me, his hands on my shoulders. "This is the real you. This is the Chika that the world needs to see." I was drunk on it all. Drunk on the attention, the gifts, the feeling that I mattered to someone. My mother called from the village, asking about the extra money I had been sending, and I lied, telling her I had gotten a raise. How could I tell her the truth? How could I tell her that her daughter, raised to fear God and respect herself, was sneaking around with the ogre's son like a thief in the night? But it wasn't just sneaking around. Obi talked about the future. He talked about taking me to America with him when he went back. He painted pictures of me walking through those New York streets he loved so much, of us living in an apartment in Manhattan, of me going to school, becoming someone. "My parents won't understand at first," he would say, "but they'll come around. Once they see how happy you make me, they'll have no choice." I believed him. God help me, I believed every word. Emeka, though, Emeka didn't believe. One evening, I was waiting for Obi in the boys' quarters. We had planned to go out, another secret date. Emeka appeared from nowhere, startling me. "Chika," he said, his voice heavy with something I couldn't name. "We need to talk." "I'm waiting for someone," I replied, not meeting his eyes. "I know who you're waiting for." He moved closer, his face serious. "Chika, please listen to me. Obi is not who you think he is." I felt anger rise in my chest. Who was he to tell me about Obi? "You don't know what you're talking about." "I've known him my whole life," Emeka said quietly. "I know him better than anyone. This thing you're doing with him, it won't end well. Are you jealous?" The words came out before I could stop them. "Is that what this is?" You're jealous that your childhood friend is happy. Something flashed in Emeka's eyes, something that looked almost like pain. This isn't about jealousy. This is about protecting you. I don't need your protection, I snapped. I need you to mind your own business. He stood there for a long moment, just looking at me, and I saw his jaw tighten. One day, he said finally, you'll understand. And when that day comes, I'll still be here. Then he walked away, leaving me confused and angry. What did he know? What could he possibly know about what Obi and I had? I pushed Emeka's words out of my mind. I had no time for his warnings, his dark predictions. I was living my best life, and nothing was going to ruin it. Then came the night that changed everything. It was December. The Harmattan wind had started blowing, covering everything with fine dust. Obi had been talking about returning to New York in January. His student visa was expiring, and he needed to go back to sort out his papers, or so he said. My heart ached every time he mentioned it, but he always reassured me. I'll send for you, he would say, kissing my forehead. Give me a few months to set things up, and then you join me. I promise. That night, in his room while his parents slept, we crossed the line we had been dancing around for weeks. He whispered that he loved me, that I was his forever, that nothing would separate us. And I, foolish girl that I was, believed him completely. Afterward, as I lay in his arms, he told me something that should have been my first warning. I'm leaving next week, he said casually, as if he was talking about the weather. Earlier than planned. Some opportunities came up that I can't miss. I sat up, cold fear washing over me. Next week. But you said January. You said we had more time. I know, baby, I know. He pulled me back down. But this is good for us. The sooner I leave, the sooner I can start making arrangements for you to join me. But what about your parents? What about telling them about us? He went quiet for a moment. Let's wait until you're in New York. It will be easier that way. Less drama. Less drama. That should have told me everything I needed to know. The next few days passed in a blur. Obi was busy with preparations, running around Lagos saying goodbye to friends, shopping for things to take back to America. I barely saw him. When I did, he was distracted, his mind already somewhere else. 2 days before his flight, I started feeling sick. At first, I thought it was just stress, anxiety about him leaving. But the nausea wouldn't go away. I couldn't keep any food down. My breast felt tender, and I was exhausted all the time. The other housemaid, Ngozi, noticed. Chika, she said one morning as I was reaching into the toilet, when last you see your period? My blood ran cold. I couldn't remember. With all the excitement of the past months, I hadn't been paying attention to my cycle. You need to check yourself, Ngozi said, her eyes full of pity. You know what I'm saying. I bought the pregnancy test that same day, hiding it in my bag like stolen goods. But I was too scared to use it. I told myself I would wait until after Obi left, that there was no point worrying him before his trip. Deep down, I think I knew the truth. I just wasn't ready to face it. The day of Obi's departure arrived. The house was in chaos again, just like when he had arrived. Suitcases everywhere, his mother crying, his father giving last-minute advice about maintaining the family name abroad. I managed to steal a moment with him in the corridor. Call me as soon as you land, I whispered, trying not to cry. Of course, he said, but he was looking past me, checking his watch. Listen, Chika, I have to tell you something. My heart started pounding. What? Things might be a bit difficult for the first few weeks. Communication-wise, I mean. I'll be really busy settling in, sorting out accommodation, all that stuff. So if you don't hear from me for a while, don't worry, okay? How long is a while? Just give me a month. Maybe 2. Then everything will be settled, and we can talk properly about next steps. A month. Maybe 2. The words felt like ice in my veins, but I nodded, forcing a smile. Okay. I'll wait. He kissed me quickly, looking around to make sure no one saw, then rushed off to join his family. I watched from my usual spot by the door as they all piled into the cars heading to the airport. Obi didn't look back. Not even once. Emeka was there too, having come to say goodbye to his childhood friend. After the cars drove off, he turned and saw me standing there, tears streaming down my face. Chika, he started, moving toward me. Don't, I said, holding up my hand. Please, just don't. I ran to my quarters and locked myself in. I cried until I had no tears left, until my eyes were swollen and my throat was raw. Ngozi knocked on my door several times, but I didn't open it. When I finally emerged the next morning, my eyes puffy and my heart heavy, I found an envelope that had been slipped under my door. My name was written on it in handwriting I didn't recognize. Not Obi's smooth, practiced script, but something rougher, more urgent. I opened it with shaking hands. The letter was from Emeka. Dear Chika, it began, and I could almost hear his quiet, steady voice as I read the words. I know you don't want to hear this from me, especially not now. But I can't stay silent anymore. I can't watch you hurt yourself and do nothing. I have loved you since the first day you came to work in this house. I know I have no right to these feelings. I know that in your eyes, I am just Obi's friend, just the driver's son who got lucky enough to work in an office. But my love for you is not something I chose. It chose me. I have watched you these past months, watched you fall for Obi's charms, watched him treat you like a secret he's ashamed of, and it has torn me apart. Because I see what he doesn't see. I see your strength, your intelligence, your beautiful heart. I see everything you could become if someone truly valued you. Obi will hurt you. I know my friend, and I know that to him, you are just another adventure, another story to tell his American friends about his time back home. He will leave you broken, and then he will forget you. But I want you to know this, when that happens, when the pain comes and you feel like the world has ended, I will be here. I will pick up the pieces. I will show you what it means to be loved by someone who sees you not as a housemaid, not as a secret, but as the queen you were always meant to be. This is not a declaration seeking an answer. This is just the truth, spoken at last. I love you, Chika. I have always loved you. And I will continue to love you, whether you can ever return that love or not. Yours, even in silence, Emeka. I read the letter 3 times, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. Emeka. Quiet, steady Emeka. He had been in love with me all this time. I thought about all those moments I had dismissed. The way he always seemed to be around when I needed help. How he had fixed my phone once when it broke, refusing to let me pay him. The time he had stopped a drunk relative from harassing me at one of the family parties. How his eyes would follow me whenever I was in a room. I had thought he was just being kind. I had thought he was just being a good person. But he had been in love with me. While Obi was performing love, Emeka was living it. While Obi was making promises he had no intention of keeping, Emeka was protecting me from the shadows. And Odogwu, guarding his Achalugo without her even knowing. I sank onto my bed, Emeka's letter clutched to my chest, and for the first time in months, I saw clearly. I saw how Obi had never introduced me to his friends. How we had never been anywhere his parents might see us. How he had never, not even once, mentioned me on his social media that he updated constantly with every other aspect of his life. I had been a secret. A temporary amusement. And Emeka had known. He had tried to warn me. But I had been too blinded by the glitter to see the gold that was right in front of me. That same afternoon, my hands still shaking from reading Emeka's letter, I finally gathered the courage to take the pregnancy test. I locked myself in the bathroom, following the instructions with trembling fingers. Then I waited. Those 3 minutes felt like 3 years. I paced the tiny bathroom, praying to a God I wasn't sure was listening anymore. When I finally looked at the test, the world stopped spinning. 2 lines. Clear as day. Positive. I was pregnant with Obi's child. The same Obi who was now somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, flying back to his real life. The same Obi who had asked me not to contact him for a month. Maybe 2. I sank to the bathroom floor, the test still in my hand, and I understood with crystal clarity what Emeka had been trying to tell me all along. I had been living a folktale, yes. But I had been playing the wrong role. I thought I was the maiden who would be saved by the prince. I didn't realize I was the warning tale, the cautionary story that mothers would tell their daughters. Don't be like Chika, they would say. Don't trust the sweet words of the rich man's son. Don't believe the promises made in the dark. As Obi's flight took off for New York, I found the letter Emeka had dropped. My heart stopped. He didn't just care for me, he had been in love with me since the day I arrived. On that same day, my pregnancy test results came out positive. And now, I had to figure out what to do next. Sometimes the loudest love is not the truest love. Sometimes the man who makes you feel like a princess is just acting out a fantasy, while the man you never noticed is ready to treat you like a queen. But we often only learn this lesson when it's too late, when we're already holding the consequences of our choices in our trembling hands. This is Chika's story. And it's far from over.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more inspiring stories. See you next time.